Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Talk some LSU baseball in 15 minutes. I've got some thoughts on Mason Braun's freshman season that I want to talk some statistics to back up just how good he's been, especially of late. So we'll get to that in 15 minutes. We'll start on the football side of things, though. Right now, Lane Kiffin obviously made some waves with his sit-down with Vanity Fair. Also took a chance to sit down with Wilson Alexander, formerly of The Advocate, now national college football reporter with On3. Wilson writes, Lane Kiffin is chasing greatness after leaving Ole Miss for LSU. Wilson joins us now on Jim's Firearms Hotline to have that discussion about what he heard from LSU's new head coach. Wilson, thanks for the time. How's it going?
It's going well. I think that headline probably should have said something like Lane Kiffin is chasing greatness and still stirring the pot now that he's at LSU.
Let's talk about that. I mean, I'm curious how this story came to be. Was it something you wanted a reaction to Vanity Fair? Were you already planning on talking to him? Because I know that dropped yesterday and then yours came out earlier today. So what's the genesis of this discussion?
I talked to Lane last Thursday,
okay.
Well before the Vanity Fair piece came out. We sat in his office for 45 minutes, and my story was actually written yesterday morning before the Vanity Fair story came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, because that garnered so much attention, I then followed up with Lane and got asked for his comments if there was anything that he wanted to add to that quote that he had given to Vanity Fair, especially given the reaction to it. And so we just included that in the broader profile of him here at LSU. But this is something that's been in the works for us for a few weeks now, at least going back and forth with LSU about when we could get a date, and then finally doing it on Thursday.
Why do you think it's important for Lane Kiffin to sit down with Vanity Fair, with On3 national outlets, and speak?
Why is it important? Well, that's an interesting question. I think for Lane, I mean, it's attention.
Yeah.
It's being in the spotlight. It's being able to show sort of, he's always craved that. And he talks a lot about sort of trying to work on that, but that's still a part of his personality. That being in the news cycle and being in that attention is kind of, part of what he likes to do. And now he's got a great opportunity to do so because he's going into his first season as the LSU coach. He was the story of the second half of the season last year, that everything was higher. And so I think having sort of a chance to talk about that is something that is appealing to him and kind of give his side of things.
Do you think it's important for Lane Kiffin to be liked, or do you think he's of the mind that any press is good press?
I think that he's probably of the mind any press is good press. He wants to be liked. I mean, certainly by the place that he is at currently in particular. I mean, he talked about how it sort of cut something in him when he was walking onto the plane and saw everybody, all those Ole Miss fans, flicking him off and yelling at him and all that. Like he says, like, I'm human. Like it gets to him. But it also is more important for him, I think, to really kind of be able to connect with wherever he is currently. And is clearly, I mean, he's done this multiple times, kind of take some shots at the places that he's left. At the same time, he talks about how he saw it as a successful, relationship for 6 years and all that, and appreciative of his time. But then, says other stuff that kind of maybe seems a little bit unnecessary on the way out the door.
I don't disagree with that at all. I'm talking with Wilson Alexander from On3. He's got a story up about Lane Kiffin right now at the website. Highly recommend you go check it out. Here's one of the quotes, Wilson, that I wanted your comment on. He said, I know this will show for me being the right decision, speaking of leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. It may not be this year because everybody's going to want to compare the two places and everything like that. It'll show in year 2, 3. What do you think that means? Is it lowering expectations, or do you think that's just what he believes reality to be?
He's been lowering expectations a few times. Remember at one of his press conferences, I guess it's right at the start of the spring, when he kind of tried to tamp down expectations. Good luck, Lane, in trying to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a $40 million plus roster. LSU is chomping at the bit to get back to the college football playoff. And that is the broad expectation for this program this year. And I think Lane recognizes that, but, sort of a coach strategy to try to maybe tamp down that a little bit. He's also in that quote sort of comparing the two places, right? And like, okay, why leave Ole Miss at a time when you had just gone to the playoffs and you kind of got the program rolling? And he thinks that long term, it really spoke to sort of long term. He thinks it's the decision that's going to be the best one for him was to go to LSU. But he knows that this season, Ole Miss could be pretty good. I mean, he said himself, this didn't get into the story, but he said how Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey are two of the most dynamic players and on offense in the entire country, and Ole Miss has got them coming back. And so I think he recognizes that, especially early in the season when this team is coming together, LSU might not be favored or could lose that game at Oxford.
You've talked to him about recruiting and the advantages that LSU offers. He's now gotten a little bit more of that than the just fire hose he was drinking out of for the first 5 days he was on campus. What's your sense on Lane's comfort recruiting at LSU and maybe how it compares to Ole Miss?
I think he enjoys it quite a bit. I mean, we had a stat in there how he's already signed or received commitments from 4 5-star recruits after having one in his entire tenure at Ole Miss. There's sort of an access to talent and a proximity to talent that you just don't necessarily have at Ole Miss. And that's, I think, that's certainly one of the points he was making to us in our conversation when we talked about the differences between the jobs, is that he can get that at LSU. And that was one of the things that was most appealing and why the reason why he thinks that he has a better chance to win championships and have sort of a long-term success at LSU than he would have by staying at Ole Miss. And I don't necessarily disagree, but he also recognized, as everybody else can see, that there's so much more parity in college football that's not necessarily the advantage that it used to be, but he says that it is still one.
And the last quote that I wanted to get your thoughts on and some context behind is talking about when he compares the relationship with Ole Miss to the divorce. And he said, there's this divorce, but man, there's great memories. They had these amazing 6 years together. Didn't like how it ended as far as the decision was and the timing of the divorce, but the 6 years were amazing. Do you think in his mind that there's a chance that people at Ole Miss will forgive him and remember the good times, or is he just purely stirring the pot with that?
He seems to want people to. Like, he really seems to want people to, except that in this analogy of the divorce, he's the one who just decided to leave and uproots throws this crazy wrench into the family dynamic and goes and marries some other girl kind of thing, and leaves everybody sort of scrambling and trying to understand why. So he doesn't have to, deal with the pickup and all that and the mess as much. And so, but he does. I mean, he said that multiple times during our interview, just that he sees this as 6 great years, and the timing and the ending wasn't ideal, but they accomplished so much together. He's hoping that people will see it as mutually beneficial, and maybe there was a chance for that in time, and maybe there still is a chance for that in time, but not anytime soon, and especially after the comments that went viral that he told Vanity Fair.
And that's what I'll leave you with here, Wilson, is this was not in your interview as the Vanity Fair piece, but you've obviously asked for comment on that. And one of the pieces in the Vanity Fair is I can't tell if he's genuine and just really, really emotionally invested in this, or if he's just kind of, for lack of a better term, full of it. And I think he's an enigma to a lot of people. Is there something that has stood out to you, or do you feel like you've got a pretty good read on him from the times you spent one-on-one with him?
What you mean? Like if he's an enigma or if he's full of it?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I realize that's black and white and there's always shades of gray, but it's just, he's hard to figure out from where I'm sitting. I'm not across the table from him ever.
Yeah, no, he is hard to figure out. As somebody told me who's covered Lane for a long time going into this interview, that he's a tough nut to crack. And he really kind of is, because he'll say a lot of things that sound really nice. And he was trying to say a few times how appreciative he was of his time at Ole Miss, but then he just can't help but stir the pot and instigate. Yeah. And so I think there's a little bit of both. I think there probably is a gray area, like most things, that he can be sincere, but he can also be completely full of it at times.
He is Wilson Alexander with On 3, the story titled Lane Kiffin is Chasing Greatness After Leaving Ole Miss for LSU. Highly suggest you go over to On 3 and check it out. Wilson, we haven't spoken since you made the move over. Many congrats to the move up to the national beat, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thanks for having me, Hunt. Appreciate that.
He is Wilson Alexander with On 3. And, of course, Wilson spent a lot of time with The Advocate covering the LSU football beat, and now has moved on nationally and is doing an awesome job. Great stuff here on the Lane Kiffin deal. it's something nobody's completely nailing down. I think it depends kind of on where you are, and I think that folks skew towards not giving Lane the benefit of the doubt and feeling like he stirring the pot, like Wilson said, or is kind of full of it, or is a used car salesman, or will never change, and all this kind of stuff. And then there's a part of Lane Kiffin that does feel human at times, dealing with some things that are difficult. And like if you put aside some stuff and look at others, you can see, like, I did like it at Ole Miss. I wanted to coach that team in the playoff. I was proud of what we did there. I liked those players, and I had a great relationship with the athletic director. But, like, I also saw an opportunity that I thought was better. Because you think LSU is a better opportunity than Ole Miss doesn't mean you hate Ole Miss or you've treated Ole Miss like dirt, or, like, there just wasn't another option. Like, if he doesn't take the LSU job, he can never take the LSU job. If he doesn't take the Florida job, he can never take it. Potentially. And you never know when that opportunity is going to rise. And it did. And it was at a bad time for him. If they were ticketed for the Liberty Bowl, none of this would have mattered. But they weren't. And so that's where this whole thing gets drummed up. I told you this at the very beginning of the show today. Very first thing I said, like, this is not my favorite talking point. And it is the national story. Vanity Fair wrote it. Wilson wrote it for On 3. I think I just saw something that came out from like Sporting News. Like it's the gift that keeps on giving nationally and garners tons of clicks. I just saw a ridiculous thing on my Facebook feed that had a guy comparing the crime statistics between Oxford and Baton Rouge as if that has anything to do with anything that's going on. And it had like tens of thousands of views on the crime rates, which are completely irrelevant to the entire story. But that's how people want to read this stuff. They want to see this stuff. I don't have to fall in that camp. I'm ready to watch them play football, not talk to Vanity Fair. But such is life. That's kind of where we are on the calendar at this point. So appreciate Wilson for adding some color to the conversation and for coming on and giving us a little bit of time here on this Tuesday. Let's switch over to baseball, shall we? I want to talk a little bit about Mason Braun. I'm going to do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of baseball, Marucci's got you covered from a baseball perspective. You got a young baseball player under your roof, young softball player under your roof, and he or she just wants to improve, wants to get better, wants to spend time in the cage, wants to pitch, even if it's rainy outside or it's dark or it's early in the morning before school. Become a member over at Marucci. You can get key card access to the hitter's house. That'll allow you morning, afternoon, and night to go in there, take some swings, get some pitches thrown. It's a great resource here in Baton Rouge. So if you hadn't considered that and don't have a great place to go when the weather's not very good and still want to get some swings in on a Saturday morning or a Tuesday evening, Marucci can offer that to you if you become a member. Take a tour of Marucci as well. You can find tickets at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. And every single tour comes with a discount in the campus tour store as well as the hitter's house. It's online at maruccisports.com. It's Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Had told me on February 14th that on May the 12th, I would be an hour and 18 minutes into my show before we talked about baseball, I would have laughed in your face or thought something really horrible had happened. And other than the fact that LSU's lost a ton of baseball games, like, not horrible, just it's not newsworthy. They are not in a situation that dictates a lot of talk. We certainly discussed it with Glenn in hour number 1, but I haven't given any thoughts on baseball today because there aren't a lot of thoughts here. They don't have a midweek game. They're going to play out the string against Florida, and then they'll go to Hoover and see how long their season lasts. And that's going to be the end of that. And after that, they'll have some exit meetings, send some guys off to summer ball, send some guys toward the draft, and start working on next year's roster. And that's just vomit-inducing to talk about, but it is what it is. One of the guys who should be a key part of next year is Mason Braun. And I wrote about him for LouisianaSports.net this morning and his trajectory this season. I think it's really exciting. One, Braun came in as one of the lesser heralded freshman in the class as a whole. Keep in mind, they got crushed by the Major League Baseball draft last year. So Braun was one of the few guys on the signing class that wasn't a huge draft risk. Certainly some, but you're talking about a limited athlete who's like 6'1", throws left-handed. Like he's not a huge draft prospect. Like power hitters need to be like 6'4", 6'5". He's not played first base. He's not a fast outfielder. He doesn't have a cannon of an arm. He's a good high school hitter. He's already a good college hitter, and that's all anybody cares about in Baton Rouge. But as far as the major leagues go, he wasn't a huge draft risk because he doesn't have premium tools. There were guys in that draft recruiting class that were huge draft picks that went. So Braun wasn't one of the most highly heralded guys, but he got here in the fall, and he hit. And then he got here in the preseason in January, and he hit everything in sight. And I remember having a conversation with somebody inside the program, and I've said this before on the air, and they just said, this guy rakes. And that was before he'd ever played a college game. And I put in my preseason predictions, I don't even remember what 3 of the predictions were. I'm going to go back and get that piece when the season's over next week, and then we'll do a reaction how I did and how I didn't do. And I got a feeling it didn't go very well. But I know that one of my predictions was that Mason Braun would have like 4 postseason at-bats. And that was rooted in he'll either start for like a regional team, even if they get beat in the regional, he'll get at-bats, or he'll be a guy that pinch hits against right-handers, and he'll get 4 postseason at-bats. And that's actually going to end up not being true, but it would be true if they made the postseason. So I thought he'd be a good player. And he ended up earning the opening day start. I don't know if y'all recall that, but he was a little bit of a surprise in the opening day lineup. And he started the season 8 for 19. That's 421. Got off to a really nice start. And then those freshman struggles crept in. And from February 27th to March 27th, one exact month, he was 3 for 28. That's a .07. And he didn't make the everyday lineup, pinch hit a little bit, but the older players got their chances. Zach York was in there every day. They played a lot of Tanner Reeves. They played some Braden Simpson. Even when Stanfield got out, Daniel Harden played. Like, Braun didn't get a lot of opportunities. Some, but not a lot. And he kept grinding and kept working, and finally got his chance every day in the Ole Miss weekend. And since the series opener at Ole Miss, he's 21 out of 60. That's a .350 batting average, but he's also got 14 walks, and he's been hit by a pitch 4 different times. So in 19 games, he's been on 39 times. That's more than twice a game he's getting on base at the leadoff spot. There's only been 3 out of those 19 games that he didn't reach a base at all. And over a stretch from the UNO midweek game to game 1 at Georgia, he scored in 10 straight games. You look at his statistical on-base percentage, he's at .481 this year as a freshman. There's a lot of SEC plate appearances there for a .481 on-base average from Mason Braun. That's really exciting. And something that Jay Johnson said earlier in this season, and it drew a lot of attention, and I wrote about it and I talked about it, when he was talking about chasing power in the transfer portal. He said, we're not going to do that. We're going to let guys develop their power within the program. And he mentioned Jared Jones, and he mentioned Jake Braun, and he mentioned Ethan Fry, and those guys that came in at differing levels, hit home runs early, but really grew into power in their final season at LSU. Jake Braun had 12 total homers in his first 120 games. 12 in 120. This year, 16 in 41. Like, he went from good athlete, can swing the bat a little bit, playing as a freshman, to platoon against right-handers, little bit of pop, to boom, power hitter, year 3. Ethan Fry didn't play as a freshman on a championship team, was hurt all of his sophomore year. He did not hit a home run his first 2 years. None. No homers his first 2 years. Last year, he hit 13. In his first 2 years, he had 4 extra base hits combined. He had 13 homers last year. One other guy didn't take him 3 years, it took him a year and a half, but Cade Arambidi hit 4 homers last year. He played in 36 games. That's kind of similar to what Mason Braun has played in this year. And this year he's exploded. He's got 16 home runs. And Mason Braun profiles as a power hitter. At the MLB Draft Showcase, he hit the longest home run out of any prospect there. He hit it 445 feet. He hit 3 balls over 400 feet. That was tied for the most at the showcase. And he has not hit for power this year. He hasn't. He's got 3 homers and 120 at-bats. But he's seeing pitches. He's taking pitches. He's hitting the ball hard up the middle. He's pulling the ball through the hole. He's hitting line drives. He's hitting doubles. And like Braun, like Aaron Beatty, showing some tools early like Fry. And then eventually, that power is going to come. Mason Braun is going to be a feared power hitter by the time he leaves LSU. He's not right now, but he will be because he's showing that he's not overmatched at this level. A 481 on-base percentage will do that. Leading the team in on-base as a true freshman shows you're not overmatched. He's not striking out a ton. He's striking out a little bit, not a ton. But once he gets more comfortable, those line drives up the middle are going to start becoming rockets over the center field wall. He'll identify pitches more early. He'll get his front foot down, and he'll play out in front of home plate, and that's where your power comes from when you can catch the ball out in front of home plate. This is the formula Jay Johnson wants to use. He's going to want to go in the transfer portal and get an elite glove man at shortstop. Get a speedy table setter at second. Go find somebody that can really run to play center field. And let the guys he's brought in from the high school ranks slug. Aaron Beatty, Cerna, Braun. Even Patrick has a frame to hit for some more pop. You've seen Steven Milam grow into his power. That's no exception. Never really happened for Derek Curiel, but he's still a great hitter. But that's the model that Jay Johnson is telling us that he wants to use. Bring in the really good hitters, get them in the weight room, let them hit and hit and hit, and they'll progress to be stars. Because what I say with the transfer portal guys, you go get power from the portal and it doesn't produce power, well, what does it produce for you? Nothing. No defense, no running, no dynamic ability on the bases, just a lack of power. So grow those guys, because the best prospects LSU has gotten have oftentimes been high school guys on the position player side. Yes, there's always a Tommy White, but for the most part, position player guys that have been in the program for a long time have helped. Jones, Fry, Curiel, Milam, Braun, Aaron Beatty, even guys before he got here with Dugas and Beloso and Cruz, Jones. These are homegrown guys. Bring in the Stanfields from the portal. Bring in the Dickinsons from the portal. Those guys are the ones that can help you defense, run, hit for some average, set the table. Those elite level slug guys, grow them from the high school ranks. Yeah, Tommy White hit a ton of homers. Luis Hernandez, big home runs. Jacob Berry, I count him as a high school guy. Does he sign with Jay Johnson out of high school? But Mason Braun's on a great, great, great trajectory, and he's going to have prodigious power. He's 6'1", 215 right now. He plays late next year at 6'1", 225, 6'1", 230 maybe, with that kind of muscle mass. And as good as his eye is, and as often as he's finding the barrel right now, he'll start to create some backspin. He'll start to run the ball out of the yard. He'll be a huge power hitter. He, Aaron Beatty, and Cerna are going to be a force in the middle of the lineup next year. And I think this year's a really, really positive for Mason Braun. I enjoyed digging those stats up and writing about it over at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to go check that out, a little baseball to cleanse your palate, you can certainly do that. Brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Take a timeout. Does Will Wade have his eyes on another international player? Sounds like it from the overseas Twitter pages. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Let me tell you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Tub to shower conversions, it's their bread and butter over at One Bath and Closets. If you've got this tub that you don't use, get rid of it. If you've got a tub that doesn't function anymore, don't pay the handy guy down the street some cash to see if he can fix it, rig it up. No, call David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. He's got 30 years of experience. he can come in and handle that tub removal, put that shower in. Tubs take a lot of space. Use that space for a shower. Walk in, change the functionality and the look of your bathroom. It's One Bath & Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Check out the great work that they do with the pictures. Get that free consultation. See the satisfied customers with the reviews. Start that process with David today. It's One Bath & Closets online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. They are on your system 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over at Immense. They're proactive in that way. Sometimes you don't even know there's something wrong with your system at work, but Immense will if you allow them to take control of your IT management. And so they'll be able to get out in front of it, fix it, make sure that you're not shut down or compromised in any way. That's the beauty of working with Immense. If you've got an IT group right now, whether it's in-house or it's a third party that is either overworked or just not living up to your standards, let Immense come in and help. That's what they do. They help. They want to help you grow your business with the use of information technology, and they want to streamline things for you. These are local folks from Baton Rouge. If you're a 50 to 100 employee company, that's kind of their sweet spot over at Immense. They've got experts in QuickBooks and Salesforce and other CRMs, and they're proactive in consulting for you. So if you're looking for another IT solution, Immense Cloud IT Management may be your next stop. Check them out online at immense.net, immense.net. All right, nothing official here with LSU basketball, but overnight, overseas Twitter accounts started suggesting that LSU was getting a defection from it's really hard to keep up with these leagues, and I want to make sure that I get it right because he was with the French league, and they also play in Euro League, but this is a Turkish team that plays in the Turkish league and then in Euro League at times. French player, French national team, Turkish league, also Turkish team in Euro League. That's all correct. The name you're looking for is Bryce. I believe it's Dessert. It could be Désert. Who knows? He's French. I don't know. This is a different world here that we're trying to deal with in terms of Will Wade's recruiting. But it appears, based on reports from a lot of different outlets over in Turkey and in Europe, Bryce Dessert is very likely headed to LSU. Who is Bryce Dessert? I'm going with Dessert until proven different. It looks like Dessert. Dessert. He's a French player. He's 6'11". Some have him listed at 7 feet, but he's tall. And he is 23 years old and a month. So he's going to play this year, this next season at 23 at LSU. So you're talking about a full-grown, fully developed man. You turn on the YouTube highlights, he is big. He moves pretty well. He is a 5-6 year professional basketball player in France and in Turkey. And he fills a need that I've been talking about. I told you after they got a couple of shooters, ball handler, they're in desperate need of a point guard, and they need a big that can play defense at the rim and physically match up with big bodies in the Southeastern Conference. Here's your answer, Bryce Dessert, as far as the post goes. He is a true post player. I'm looking at his basketball reference stats. He has played 5 professional seasons. He has shot 1 3-pointer in 5 professional seasons. He does his work exclusively in 2-point range and around the basket. That's why over the course of 4 seasons, he has shot 71% from the floor because he's dunking and laying the ball up. He does almost all of his work finishing around the rim. He doesn't create his own shot a lot. He works in the pick and roll game, diving to the rim. He works off the offensive rebound and putbacks game. He does some good job cutting, as a lot of these European bigs do. And he finishes with both hands very well around the rim at 6'11", 7 feet tall. He is not a super skilled offensive player. When you shoot 47% from the free throw line for your career, you get the point. Last year was his high water mark as a free throw shooter when he was playing in the Turkish league. He shot 55% from free throws. He's not a shooter, but he's big, he's physical, he can jump, he can alter shots at the rim, he can throw down dunks, he can catch alley-oops, he can offensive rebound, he can cut, he can score off the catch when he's cutting. He's a big in every sense of the word, and he's going to fill a role on this team. I don't think it's completely dissimilar to Mike Nwoku. You're not getting threes. You're going to get a lot of screens on the perimeter, a lot of rolling, a lot of action around the rim. And y'all remember last year when De'Don Thomas was healthy, he was throwing lob after lob after lob to Nwoku, who was really good at rolling and getting up to the rim and making plays on the ball. That's what you're getting from Desert. Fran Fraschilla absolutely loves him, says he's going to be a really, really good college player. He does a lot of scouting overseas and knows a lot of scouts overseas. It looks like Kansas and Arizona were at least interested at a certain point. But the fact of the matter is that despite statistics and what he averaged, which was about 8 points per game, about 5 rebounds per game, that's secondary statistically because he's not playing huge minutes. They don't play the young guys quite as many minutes in the EuroLeague. They don't want those guys to get on a huge profile and leave for the NBA. But he brings unequivocally one trait. Unequivocally. Well, I shouldn't say one trait. One trait, one fact. One trait, he's 7 feet tall-ish and built like a brick house. Like, he's a huge dude. And two, he's 23 years old. Like, that's a guy who has played in tough environments in Europe, is not going to be intimidated by the SEC, is probably older than the guys he's going to be playing with, more physically mature than the guys he's going to be playing against. And he should be a really key player for this LSU team. Obviously, right now, he's your starter at the 5 because you don't have anybody else to play the 5. You have a big to stretch the floor in Santos, who should be a stretch 4. And this is your 5 that's going to be able to guard the post, that's going to be able to block out, to show a physical presence, to protect the rim, to rebound. And you absolutely positively have to have that in college basketball. It's a little bit odd to me still. This is a team that I love in LSU basketball, that they're going to get 5-year professional basketball players that are 23 years old. Do I think that's the spirit of what we were trying to sign up to do here? Probably not. Is that Will Wade's problem? Not for a single solitary second. You go get the best players that are eligible to play for you this coming season. And it sounds like LSU is well on its way to getting Bryce Desert, who fills a need. They still desperately need a point guard. Honestly, the skill set De'Don Thomas has would be a great fit. They need a point guard badly, and they need a 2 guard that's a scorer, that can create his own shot, get to his spot on the floor, make jump shots, make threes, just be a high-level scorer. I don't think Ugachukwu is built that way. 6'3" combo guard, can score a little bit. Like, I would like him to be the first guard off the bench instead of the starting 2 guard. But those are your 2 biggest needs right now, your 2 lead guard spots. Your wing situation is very, very good. You've now bolstered the front court with a true big, but you need guards that can make plays with the ball. You've got some guys that are comfortable playing off the ball, making pick and pop threes, making pick and roll dunks, getting spacing and cutting to the rim. Got a lot of guys that can do that. You don't necessarily have the back of the basket scorer, the point guard who facilitates everything, and the absolute 16-point per game bucket at the 2 guard position that I would like to have. But no fear, because we're still only at 4 public commitments, looking at 5 public commitments, and you got plenty of room. You got to fill 7 more spots at the very least. Feels like Will Wade feels pretty good about that, but he said they're going to pay 7 or 8 players. So you're talking about you're close to 5 on players you've decided to pay. What does it look like for the next couple of guys? You've got to have a point guard, no doubt about it. We'll see what LSU's able to do that. I'll probably have tomorrow, maybe the next day. Just kind of depends on how the news breaks. All this Twitter breaking news is from overseas, so we'll see what actually comes of this. But if it becomes official, Bryce Desert, to LSU. I'll write a portal profile on it over at louisianasports.net that you can check out for free. Incidentally, if you want to read about the Saints, go to louisianasports.net, click My Teams, boom, Saints. Want to read about LSU? Go to the same thing, My Teams, go to LSU. But also you can break it out by subtitle and go LSU football, LSU basketball, LSU baseball, LSU women's basketball, and you can pare it down to just one specific sport if you'd like to do that as well. So we invite you all to go check out louisianasports.net for free. All right. One more time out. Come back and close it up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingllc.com. Sorry, that's not right. Lifetimeroofingla.com. I don't know where that came from. Lifetimeroofingla.com is the website. I've been telling you for the last couple of weeks that Lifetime Roofing does professional installation of gutters, of siding, of windows as well. So it's not just roofs. Gutters, siding, windows, anything on the exterior of your home, they are happy to help you out with. And this is another thing to keep in mind that not everybody considers. Storm season is coming. Maybe you don't need a new roof. Your roof's in pretty good shape, but you don't really know. Well, send an inspector up there from Lifetime Roofing and see what it's like. And if you need a tune-up, they'll do that. It's not a fully new roof. It's just something to make sure that your roof is ready for storm season if that's something you're looking to do. That's something they offer at Lifetime Roofing. Find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Before we get out of here, let me remind you about Fabry Chevrolet GMC. FabryChevrolet.com is the website, FabryChevrolet.com. Great inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles there. So whatever it is that you're looking for, Fabry Chevrolet GMC can certainly help you out with that. As I've been saying, family road trips are coming up. Need that SUV, maybe a new one. Get the whole family loaded up to head wherever you're headed. Fabry Chevrolet GMC is happy to have you. They got Chevy Suburbans and Tahoes. They got GMC Yukons, Denali's. It's all there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You know, based on the Fabry family's history, 35 years here in Baton Rouge, that they're going to give you a wonderful buying experience. You can start it online at FabryChevrolet.com, but go see them Highway 61 in St. Francisville and get that test drive. Whether it's a new or a pre-owned, you will love the deals and the inventory that they've got at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Quick drive up to St. Francisville on Highway 61 online at FabryChevrolet.com. All right. News of the day, really concrete news, not Lane Kiffin talking to whoever he's talking to. LSU and Clemson will have College Game Day here in Baton Rouge for the season opener. College Game Day has not been here since the rain-slogged 2024 Alabama game where Jalen Milroe ran. That was the last time Game Day was here, but they'll be here for opening weekend. I can promise you campus will be full. It'll be really hot. Game Day will be here. Two polarizing coaches, national brands. It's going to be quite a scene here in Baton Rouge for College Game Day, and we fully anticipate they'll be in Oxford 2 weeks later for LSU and Ole Miss. Chase Parham from 247 is reporting that expects to happen over the next few weeks. So LSU is probably going to be right there under the microscope of the nation in week 1 and week 3 of the year 1 of the Lane Kiffin era. What could go wrong? I guess a lot could go right, too. We'll see. But we've talked a lot about all of that over the course of the last 2 hours. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
As much as I would like to escape Ole Miss, we got to keep him on the hot seat. So Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian came out today and said that Mississippi has lowered its academic standards to make it more of an attractive destination for recruits in the transfer portal. Quote, at Texas, we only take 50% of players' academic credit hours. Sarkisian said you may have to, take a semester to come up to those 50%, but at Ole Miss, they take you as it is. You can take basket weaving and you can get an Ole Miss degree. So is Sarkisian and Kiffin teaming up against Ole Miss right now? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I saw this quote. What he's saying is, if you want to get a degree from Texas,
yes,
you have to take 50% of your coursework at Texas.
Yes.
You can't do 90% somewhere else, then come take 10 and get a diploma from Texas.
Yes.
You can do that at some other places you can at Texas. Here's my thing, Steve. who cares about their degree? They're coming to Texas for the $4 million payday, for the $3 million payday to play football. They don't really care if they get a degree. How many guys graduate, I use that loosely, leave after 3 years to go to the NFL that don't get a degree? So I get it, and it's a shot there at Ole Miss, whatever. This is feeding the Ole Miss ego when all these guys are talking about this stuff. Oh, we're relevant now. Oh, they're scared of us now. Oh, everybody, the big bad looking at Ole Miss. And it is what it is. I don't. I've about had it with Ole Miss. I'll be honest. It is what it is.
Well, Hunt, we are attached to them for the foreseeable future at the moment.
That's correct.
Unfortunately. So FIFA, we already talked about this, but just to add on, FIFA is using only grass fields for the World Cup. MetLife, AT&T Stadium, Gillette, Lumen, NRG, SoFi, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. All these artificial turf fields, they're being replaced for the natural grass field. And a lot of the players, especially the NFLPA, they're coming out and making it a big fuss that how is it this easy for them to put these grass fields in?
Yeah.
And we've been asking for this. So is the NFL making a mistake not implementing these grass fields? Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, they have limitless money. I don't know how to grow grass. I don't know how to grow grass inside. I don't know how you do that. But if they can do it, I think it's a reasonable idea. So we'll see if they can make it happen for the World Cup. Can you make it happen for the fall? I'm not a horticulturist or whatever else, botanist or whatever.
I don't even know what you call it.
Whatever you need. I don't know how to do any of that, but it seems like if they can do it for this, they can consider some things. And if they feel like the injury risk is significantly less putting in grass, go for it.
And it's crazy we're talking about billionaires being cheap. It just doesn't make any sense. Those two words should not go together. So Swatch and Audemars Piguet, a luxury watch brand, are collaborating to create affordable $400 to $600 pocket watches. So are pocket watches making a comeback in 2026? Take it or leave it.
Maybe take it. I don't know. You're not going to catch me with a pocket watch.
You're not going to get a pocket watch?
I'm not going to do that. You know, everybody's kind of got their thing. I got some friends that are deep into the watch game.
Yeah.
You're not going to catch me deep into the watch game. I've got a watch on right now that my wife got me for our first anniversary. I love it.
Yep.
Full disclosure, this watch hasn't ticked in 2
don't even
years,
got a
two or 3 years. No, it hadn't ticked in 2 or 3 years. I think it looks good. I like to wear it.
Yeah.
My wife says, "Why don't you go get it fixed?" I don't really care. I'm not going to look down at my watch.
I'm always checking my phone.
I'm not going to go check. Yeah, I'm just going to pull the phone up and check it anyway. But you're not going to catch me deep into the watch game. This one's not a wildly expensive purchase. It was wonderful that my wife got it for me. I love it. But I'm not going to get deep into the watch game. But if you want to get deep into the watch game, I support your ability to do so.
I support it, and I'm kind of hating from outside the club because I've seen some of these Audemars Piguet watches. We're talking like $400,000 watches.
I'm watching right now a show. I won't spoil what show it is in case people want to stumble upon it. But let's just say there are some very expensive watches that are featured prominently in this show. Now, these are ridiculously rich people that are on this show. It's fiction.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I won't in any time ever be getting a $400,000 watch. I might hit the Powerball one day. I might get $1 billion. A $400,000 watch is not happening. In fact, I'll probably still wear this watch if I get that much money.
Oh, no, you got to get a new battery in it, though. You'll get a new battery, though.
Probably not.
Really?
That's just not a priority. I will be going to Cabo. I'll be playing golf.
Yeah.
I'll have the house paid off, and we'll do some things financially that are great. A new watch is just not going to be on the list. I don't care.
Well, that's it for take it or leave it.
No midweek baseball tonight for LSU. Midweek slate is done. LSU back in action on Thursday. That means your Tuesday just opened up because I know you were locked into all those midweek games. So if you want to come check us out at Court to Table for Sports Trivia tonight, highly suggest and would invite you to come on out. It's a lot of fun. We sit there in the bar area, got a chance to win gift cards. There'll be, let me do some quick math there. That's $125 worth of gift cards to Court to Table, as well as pickleball courts that you can win time if you get second place in any of the rounds. So come see us 8:00 at Court to Table. Eat some great food, drink some cold drinks. We've got some games on TV, and you can always win gift cards at Sports Trivia. Get you out of there by like 9:15. So it's not a late night for Trivia Night, 8 to about 9:15 at Court to Table. If you missed any of our show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, our shows wherever you find your podcast. All my LSU content, Hunt on LSU. All the Saints content, Hunt on Saints. We had Sharif Ishak talking Saints today. Glenn West talking Tigers. Wilson Alexander jumped aboard to talk about his interview and sit down with Lane Kiffin that went up today on 3, so you can check that out. I gave my thoughts on the whole Lane Kiffin saga. I've written a column about it at LouisianaSports.net. I just don't really see what all the outrage is, but people got to get offended and freak out about something these days, so we've got to do that. And a little bit of baseball talk as well. Glenn West was here, and we talked a little bit about Mason Braun, so check that out wherever you find your podcasts on demand. Tomorrow's show will be a What If Wednesday. Talk to Koki Riley, do some SEC baseball power rankings, and maybe there's a basketball commitment we can chat about on tomorrow's show as well. Either way, hope you all have a wonderful and safe Tuesday evening. Hope to see you at Court to Table. Either way, Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. See you tomorrow. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. FABT.com. FABT.com. Bank local. They've been local at First American Bank and Trust for 116 years. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. 116 years they've been here, and they've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. There's always one near you, whether you're around Baton Rouge and Dutchtown or Jones Creek, maybe up I-12 in St. Tammany and Tangipahoa, down the Bayou, St. James, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, over in the New Orleans area, and Metairie. First American Bank and Trust is here in every single decision they make. All the decisions are made locally. So the people that are making decisions based on your commercial loan, your personal loan, are right here in the state of Louisiana, in Southeast Louisiana. You're not just a line item for somebody who's checking something in Atlanta or Sacramento. Right here in Southeast Louisiana. So stop in one of the branches, conveniently located, 25 of them, or check them out online at FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust.